In an effort to relieve prison overcrowding, the Oklahoma Department of Corrections has revised some policies, giving early releases to an increasing number of violent and sex offenders. ONR's Dick Pryor spoke with Oklahoma Watch reporter Clifton Adcock about the changes and their impact on public safety.
Clifton, how many offenders is DOC releasing?
Well, we don't have a precise number, but between early March and September, they released approximately 1,500 offenders. There were more after that. However, DOC has yet to provide the numbers of total offenders released because of early release credits.
Why are they having to do it?
They had brought in a large amount of prisoners from the county jail backup. In order to make room for those, the first phase of that was releasing some prisoners through restoring credits or expanding the early release credit system.
What's the capacity? And where is the state in terms of its capacity?
Right now, the state sits at 104% of its prison capacity. They've had to bring in temporary beds in order to house all the offenders. At the peak during the summer, when they were bringing in offenders from the county jail backup, they were at 106 capacity around that area.
Now, you mentioned that they're doing this in part by relaxing policies and also restoring some early release credits. How are they determining who gets out?
Well, they are actually, if you can get out, they will restore the credits. That was the policy during the spring and summer. It applied to violent and nonviolent offenders as well. Later on in November, they decided to expand that to retroactively award credits to offenders serving split life sentences. We found one sex offender who had gotten 12 years off of his sentence after serving 17 years by them retroactively applying the early release credits.
Who decides who stays and who goes?
At one time in the early spring, it was the DOC administration. It was sort of a reversal from how it had been. It would go up through the chain of command previously to DOC administration. Once they got a waiver to policy, they began submitting lists weekly of offender names to be screened or that they had already screened in order to be released.
Have any of those released reoffended?
There have. We only looked at county jail blotters for 7 counties, but of those, and that was just on one day, who was in jail that day. And out of those, we found 36 offenders who had reoffended out of those 1,500.
Are these accelerated releases compromising public safety?
Some believe so. The district attorney, Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater, said he believes that it might compromise public safety since some of the offenders are violent offenders and sex offenders.
But DOC does not believe so.
DOC does not believe so. They say they're taking care to not release, dangerous offenders, and that they are, working to protect the public.
How much longer are these releases expected to continue?
From what I understand, the restoration of early release credits from misconducts they've put some caps on that. They did that in November. However, they've gone to other policies expanding early release credits, such as giving early release credits to aggravated traffickers. State law prohibits drug traffickers from receiving most early release credits, but they've reinterpreted that to let some of those offenders out, as well as the split lifers.
Clifton Adcock from Oklahoma Watch, thank you.
Thank you.